Hello and welcome to AM Prime here on WESN Content Capital. I'm Keaton Shaw. Thank you for joining me on this rainy, wet Wednesday morning. I suppose we're grateful because it's not that hot, and so that dry, sticky heat that we have been accustomed to over the last couple of months, well, it seems to be going on vacation. But we're not on vacation. In fact, one gentleman has woken up very early to speak to us this morning about the viability of the real estate sector. I'm joined by the president of the Association of Real Estate Agents, Mr. Mark Edgehill. He's with us via Zoom this morning. Hello, Mr. Edgehill. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Good morning. Yes, I haven't been experiencing the rainy issues you all have been having this morning, so not yet.
It's coming our way soon. But, Mr. Edgehill, let me start the question. Simply, what is the essential purpose of real estate agents?
So the essential purpose of a real estate agent is to bring a buyer and a seller, or a tenant and a landlord together to transact the transfer of real estate or the occupancy of real estate, and to facilitate the public's need for housing and business needs for accommodations for their business or their retail. So a real estate agent basically is the individual that will handle all of the processes involved in locating properties, listing the properties, matching what the buyer or tenant is looking for with respect to their needs, and bringing the best options forward for consideration, and then having the client make the decision on what they're looking for and what they want, what they choose to move forward on.
So there is a basic understanding. Is there a legislative framework that is in place that governs or perhaps guides real estate agents here in Trinidad and Tobago?
So we have not had anything implemented to date, but we have had legislation passed in June of 2020, which is to manage those who can practice real estate. So there will be licensing and registration of real estate agents. We are still waiting on the operationalization of that coming out of the Registrar General's office, who we are told their staff are working assiduously to get that completed, but there have been quite a number of changes to legislation made that they're all trying to catch up with and keep a pace with. With respect to the legislation itself, the Real Estate Association has actually found several issues, both operationally and in comparison to markets, the licensing, registration process, and so on. You know, we have made several recommendations with respect to that, so we're hoping that those will be taken forward in the best interest of operating realtors and agents in the market.
Any idea what's caused this delay in the declaration, the proclamation of this particular bill?
Can you repeat that?
Any idea as to what's caused the delay of the proclamation of this particular bill?
Okay, that's a question for Parliament or for the president, the past president, because I know that the current president, we have been told, is interested in getting a lot of the bills that have been passed proclaimed. So we are expecting that to be done in the very near future. The only issue is that we're hoping that amendments are made to the bill that we have been presented with prior to proclamation. If not, we'll have to deal with it after the fact.
So your organization is self-regulating, and essentially it moves or makes decisions based off of the circumstances, whether it be the markets or the economy. Is that the case?
The association has a structure that is consistent with international best practices, covering ethics and basically all aspects of real estate compared to other markets around the world. Basically, we don't really operate in terms of changing the rules based on the market or the economy, right? But we do assist our members in facilitating them in getting through the difficult times when they are, like they have been for the last 2 to 3 years, But we do maintain our standards of practice. We do enforce our code of ethics, for example, how real estate agents operate with each other and with the public. So it's not a matter of what happens in the economy. It's a matter of what's the right and best practice of real estate that we enforce and promote.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said in the toughest of times, I think one of the most difficult times that we've all faced is COVID-19 restrictions. It really impacted upon everyone, and real estate agents were no different, from what I understand. Would you suggest that real estate agents and agencies are essential services, and not having that classification during the harshest of restrictions would have actually obviously affected the market to the extent that real estate agents were not able to ply their trade and the industry came to a halt?
So you're 100% correct. I mean, it has been through the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdowns and so on. Real estate was one of the sectors that were closed for business in both instances. Real estate, as you mentioned about being classified as an essential service, that is one of the things that our association is working on. Because since the pandemic, we have realized, I mean, we knew it before, but the impacts were more evident through the lockdown periods, where if we are prevented from operating our trade, it means that the access to shelter, which is a basic human right, is interfered with and hindered, because we saw many people who were in domestic situations. They became violent situations. People needed to be relocated. They needed to either increase the size of the property they were occupying for spatial requirements. They either needed to downsize because they were separating or parting ways and needed to have independent accommodation. And also businesses that found themselves closed and not able to cover rent if they were not given any lenience by their landlord. Basically, they were in a position as well where they needed to terminate leases or downsize their businesses, and there was no real estate agent allowed or permitted at that time to facilitate what they needed. So it is a situation where, a basic human right and business requirements for maintaining people's livelihoods are dependent on accommodation. And, we believe that real estate should be classified as an essential service so that we don't have the issue where, people are breaking the law, for example, just to try and help someone who is in a difficult situation with their accommodations.
You just mentioned people are breaking the law. Could you give an example, not specific, but generally, what you mean by people breaking the law, just to help somebody out?
What I mean by breaking the law, I mean that during the lockdown period, there were agents that basically, with people begging for assistance, begging for help, even though we could not operate, in other words, go out and do the work that we are supposed to do for the public, we were prevented from doing that. So what happened is there were some agents who felt that because of the circumstances, like I said, in terms of domestic violence and different things like that, or financial instability, people needed the assistance to get, somewhere else to live or somewhere else for their business. And although we were barred from working, they were still going ahead and doing the work. Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean by breaking the law, because we were prohibited from doing those things. What did happen is we found people shifted a lot of what they were doing to online, so that they were not out doing business. So online was the only opportunity or option that we had to facilitate that type of activity. But what we could not do is actually do the introductions or the assessments of properties physically, because technically that was out of the question at the time.
Mm-hmm. Now that we've come out of the harshest of restrictions, in fact, all restrictions have more or less been lifted. What's the status of the industry, of the sector? Is it that you're seeing greater confidence in terms of investment, whether it be through the purchasing of commercial or private property or residential, or is it moving at a snail's pace?
So we have seen an increase in activity in the market over the last, I would say, the last 6 to 8 months, coming out of all the major lockdowns and the COVID restrictions and so on, travel restrictions, etc. We are seeing most activity below 3 million, more under the 2.5 million range, which obviously first-time home buyers will be benefiting from tax relief and also the current mortgage rates. And also when you see, for example, some of the banks are offering 100% financing, which normally would be 10% deposit with 90% financing. So all these things are things that will stimulate the activity in the market. With respect to the commercial sector, we still have a slow recovery there with respect to businesses that are still adjusting to changes in how they operate, because there are a lot of businesses. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how many, but many of the larger organizations have options to work from home. All right, so the virtual workspace is increasing. They are figuring out exactly how much space they actually need to operate their businesses. So we have a lot of inventory still in terms of offices, but we are seeing, an interest in new businesses, looking for space as well. So it is encouraging that we have interest in the commercial area. Again, unfortunately, we have seen a significant number of retail businesses close during the COVID period. We have not seen a substantial resurgence of the retail rental sector. Reason being, I think a lot of people who've been shifted to online shopping and online business, are seeing viability there, which, you can't take away the experience of shopping and going out and touching and feeling the product that you want to buy. But the convenience of online shopping is where most of the biggest challenge is with respect to, brick and mortar businesses now.
So clearly a digital work environment has its impacts obviously on real estate as well, with the virtual workplace also something that is being explored as a permanent option. But what you're suggesting, is it that you're going to see positive growth in this sector in terms of economics, even with perhaps greater foreign direct investments as well? It's a very uncertain area. Obviously, our clientele for real estate in terms of business and retail is being impacted, and obviously technology is playing a bigger and bigger part in business, as you mentioned, and in terms of any other type of business in terms of retail or even services, medical or otherwise. We basically, we have those transitions taking place that we're still, I would say, we're still getting a feel for, because people that are shifting to online still are uncertain whether the online is a better option for the type of service that they have versus in-person service. We also have the issue where people have gotten a little tired of the online scenario. So they want to go back to in-person activities. They want to get up. They don't want to be sitting on computer doing everything they have to do. The convenience is one thing, but social behavior and social access and being out and living your life is also, is also a consideration. In terms of foreign direct investment, we are hoping that we can stimulate our sector by bringing in new concepts, new developers, that will spur additional activity and interest in Trinidad and Tobago as a for real estate investment, in the future, hopefully not far off. Let me ask you now, another issue is commissions and basically how real estate agents make a large sum of their income. Is there any hints of having to increase the percentage of commission that real estate agents would receive following a transaction?
So what is happening right now, I actually did make statements recently to the effect that we need to revise the real estate commissions. The reason being, our agents in Trinidad and Tobago are working at actually 50% or less of what international markets and our comparable markets are working for. So it's not a matter of increasing, but it's a matter of reinstating what was the initial commissions that were paid in Trinidad and Tobago. And because of the economic situation in the 1980s and potential foreclosures of properties and people wanting to move properties because of their financial constraints, there was a reduction of the commission to 3%. That was down from a 5% benchmark, which was standard across the industry. And because of that, unfortunately, the 3% stuck and it became a norm. So coming forward now, where, cost of living is a huge issue. And in terms of operating a real estate business operates basically in good faith. That effort, all the money spent in marketing, advertising, promotions, online, viewing properties and driving all over the country, and maintaining your office, your admin staff, all the different aspects of the real estate business. All of those expenses are, in other words, they continue regardless of what the performance of the agency is. And what happens is you can work on a property for 4 months, 6 months, 10 months, 18 months before anything happens with that specific property, whether it's a rental or a sale. And technically what happens is when the commissions come in, the commissions are actually offsetting expenses that were already paid in the past year sometimes, or in the past several months. So in assessing exactly how we do our real estate business here, the cost of doing business here, and the fact that we are working at less than half of what is done internationally and regionally, it's only fair that we, approach the public again, I would say, in terms of being fair to our trade. We are providing a service, free of charge, and we only get paid when we are successful in delivering on that service that we are. So, I ask people, are you willing to take half of the salary that you're getting now, right? And I'm sure you won't. So would you say that it's fair that a real estate agent will also be paid the commission that is paid internationally and what is on the market standard? So it's not a matter of for example, our recent annual seminar, which was, tagged as To a Brighter Future. It's not a matter of we want higher commissions so that we can make more money. It's a matter of reinstating the commissions that we should have been charging all along in order to make our businesses profitable. Because remember, there are people look at real estate agents and they do nothing and make all this money. There are some very successful agents. There are some agents who are struggling, and not every agent is going to make a $30 million sale. Right? Not every agent is going to be dependent on a $2,000 rental. But the issue you have is across the board, the income being generated by real estate agents and the difficulty in terms of maintaining their operations is what we need to look at. And at the end of the day, we just want to be fair, right? It's to me, it's unconscionable that for the last 20 years or more, we have been, or 30 years, sorry, we have been literally, working for 50% of what we should have been working for, right? Yes, real estate business is lucrative if you can build your business and offer a service that will develop your clientele.
Can I just ask you, Mr. Edgell? I'm so sorry, but is you said the real estate business can be lucrative. Is Trinidad and Tobago's real estate sector lucrative, or could it be lucrative?
So as a real estate agent, obviously, if you build your clientele and you have, sales in the realm of the 30 million or the 100 million, or you have a turnover of, many properties and sales and rentals, on a monthly, annual basis, you can make, right, based on your volumes, you can do very well in terms of real estate. I mean, you can look at some of the programs that they have on television now with respect to whether it's selling LA or selling New York or properties or whatever the case may be. The kind of numbers that they talk and the kind of commissions that they make, all right? Nobody's telling them, you know, oh, you're making too much money, so I'm not paying you your commission. It's a standard practice. It's a cost of doing business. So yes, real estate can be lucrative, but it's not. It's definitely not a walk in the park. All right, it's a very, very difficult business. It's rewarding at times, but it's very disheartening most of the time, because you will show a property potentially between 30, 60 times and have no result. And someone may step in with someone who's interested to buy and take that property from under you and sell it and make the money on it after working for a couple of days or a couple of weeks.
So then, Mr. Edgell, is there possibly also the overvaluation of property? Is property insurance being overpriced?
So the issue we have here, people may say the properties are overpriced when you look at what the rental income that the properties can generate, okay? But what we have to look at is what is the replacement cost of those properties, right? You can't have someone with a significant construction cost, say they built a house, for example, for $4 million because of the cost of the materials to build that property and the cost of labor to build that property. You can't then say that the $4 million price on that property is too high, because that's the actual value of the property, right? If it is that the property cannot generate sufficient revenue to cover, for example, a mortgage, that is more in line with what the market can bear, and that is more in line with our labor rates, our cost of our wages, basically, and whether we are keeping a pace with inflation, for example, with our income, right? And that's where a lot of the disparity lies. So if the population can't afford, you know, to pay a particular rental that will support or make a real estate investment viable, what you're looking at is having to drop the price to make the rental more affordable, to have income coming in on that property.
What about
where that becomes an issue is you actually have to have much larger deposits. If you want to cover a mortgage, you'll have to have a much larger deposit, so you have a smaller monthly expenditure for a mortgage, where rental income can potentially cover that, if that's your goal.
Now, I know you answered earlier with respect to the commercial sector, but middle income housing here in TNT, is there also a greater investment taking place following restrictions, or has that been limited? Middle income, to be specific.
Okay, I'm not. You're breaking up quite a bit there, but if I understand correctly, you're asking about the investment in commercial real estate over residential. Yes?
No, I'm asking specifically about middle-income residential properties. Has there been greater investment in that? I know you mentioned something about $3 million and lower. That seems to be what's taking place now.
For quite a few years, we have had a void and a high demand for middle-income housing, which is not being met. But several, or should I say many developers and individuals have recognize that. I mean, I don't know, partially our lamenting in the years gone by for the need for middle-income housing. And they've answered the call, and many middle-income housing developments have been brought to market. Some are currently still under construction. Some are going to be coming on stream very shortly. So there has been a surge of middle-income housing options being provided to the population, so which is an excellent thing.
Well, Mr. Edgell, just very quickly, because I know we've gone overboard, and thank you very much for your time, but what is the association's position as it relates to the implementation or re-implementation, that is, of property tax?
So property tax, in my opinion, I don't think my colleagues at the association will disagree. Property tax is a necessity. All right, we do have, services that the government provides that are relative to our properties. There are some things that I think need to be looked at with respect to how the property tax is charged. One of the issues that I have is, for example, if you are living in the same neighborhood as someone who chooses not to do upgrades to his property, and as a result is not going to be able to charge a rental on that property that is compared to yours, why are you paying, why are you being forced to pay a higher rate of tax, property tax, because of you spending money on your property that you worked hard for your money and decided to live a more comfortable life? You have to pay more tax because of that after you've built it with your income that has already been taxed, and you're benefiting from the same exact services. So I think that's one of the things. I mean, something else that I would like to see is, for example, pensioners and people who are on fixed incomes to be potentially exempted or have a much lower tax. Because I don't want to see, when property tax comes on stream, that people who have a fixed income who now have a property tax requirement to meet, that they have to sell their property just to be able to live off of their pension, because they can't afford to pay property tax, which is unfair. So there are many things that we need to look at with respect to property tax still. I mean, we are always willing to collaborate and work with the government and any organization who is assisting them in the property tax structures and the rollout of that program. We are always available for them to get our views and see if we can come to a better solution that I think the population will be more receptive to and understand, because, like I said, property tax is a necessity so that we can continue to benefit from the services of the regional corporations, garbage collection, our roads, and different things like that.
Well, Mr. Edgell, thank you very much for giving us your time this morning and your take as to what is happening from the association's point of view, and we appreciate it. And we look forward to further conversations as the sector hopefully continues its recovery and positive projections. But for now, keep well, sir.
No problem. You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. All the best. That was Mr. Mark Edgell, the president of the Association of Real Estate Agents, speaking to us this morning as it relates to the sector. And the current take on property tax was the final point that we got in. The association, Mr. Edgell believes that none of his colleagues will disagree with him, is an essential area that is needed to improve citizens' quality of life and even its maintenance of surrounding areas. But other bits, I suppose a greater framework needs to be established before it's fully commenced. And one example used was with respect to pensioners. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, we take a commercial break, and when we return, we will continue this morning's program.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers? Please exercise more patience You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best.
I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the content capital.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through. Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
The MG showroom has an SUV for your personality with multiple features that will have you driving in comfort and style. MG gives you the most miles, and now you can own your brand new MG for as little as $85 a day. I am Trisha Berg from Massey Motors. Contact me to drive away with your MG today.
Welcome back to AM Prime, and thank you for staying with us. We're just days away, ladies and gentlemen, from North Coast Jazz and Heritage Festival 2023. WESN and AM Prime, we're proud to partner with the organizers of North Coast Jazz and Heritage Festival. And we've been very fortunate to have many of the artists who will be gracing the stage in Blanchisseuse on the 27th of May here on AM Prime. We've even been privy to a performance by one of the artists, and this morning we're once more pleased to welcome the North Coast Pan Serenaders. Well, their captain, Irita Bagwit-Singh, is with us via Zoom. Good morning, Miss Bagwit-Singh.
Good morning.
Hello, Miss Bagwit-Singh. I think you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, I'm not hearing you on my end, actually, so I'm not sure what's taking place there. Now I can hear you. Oh, great. I'm hearing the wonderful, I'm hearing everything. Sorry about that, but thank you, Ms. Bagwit-Singh, for joining us. Tell me a bit about the North Coast Pan Serenaders. I know they were established in 2014, but why? Precisely why was there a need, or what was the vision in establishing a pan man in Blanchisseuse, a very young pan man, that is?
Well, the North Coast has no activities for youth, and Mr. Hugo felt the need to do something to contribute to the community to benefit the youth, and it was always a passion of his. So he established it.
But apart from that, so this band is really made up of young people and of a particular age group from the community of Blanchisseuse, the community of North Coast?
It ranged from 8-7 go up to 20.
Oh wow, that's incredible. So this is really a collaborative youth musical workshop to some extent.
Yes.
Now, why would, I know you've performed many a times at North Coast Jazz and Heritage Festival. I believe last year and the year before was at the movie night. This year, what can we look forward to? What can we expect from the North Coast Pan Serenaders?
Well, this year we have a lot of great arrangements and look forward to a younger band, younger age group with members, newer members.
Mm-hmm. And how has this particular, because you're saying newer members, a wider age group, how has this helped or impacted upon community development?
Well, the band, it took a lot of youths of the street who had nothing to do on the North Coast, help them stay productive, and also the band, I myself, push them in academics also, because on the North Coast, a lot of children tend to stay out of school, drop out of school, and the band helps them stay in school, focus on education, but also learn their national instruments.
So is it that you're telling me that the steel pan is more than just a sweet-sounding musical instrument, it actually contributes to one's development and one's life path?
Yes.
That's rather interesting. But also, do you believe that such festivals or such events such as North Coast Jazz and Heritage Festival contribute to the community of non-students and also makes the steel band such as yours very much something people look forward to participating in?
Can you repeat?
Is it that events like North Coast Jazz and Heritage Festival will allow for greater, I suppose, influence or greater participation in steel pan, such as in as North Coast Pan Serenaders?
Not hearing properly.
I'm hearing you very, very well, actually. In fact, I'm hearing the sweet sounds of the birds in the background, so I'm a bit jealous this morning. Could you hear me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay. I'm only asking if you think that North Coast Jazz actually will allow for greater participation in the steel pan, such as the North Coast Pan Serenaders.
Yes, I think so.
Mm-hmm. And what do you look forward to actually from this year's events, if there's anything in particular you look forward to?
Well, we participate in the movie night, not necessarily on the jazz night.
Well, I tell you what, I might not be there for the movie night, unfortunately, but I'm pretty sure I'll get all the footage of your pan band performing. But Ms. Bhagwat Singh, certainly I know we look forward to the events that take place over the weekend. There are a lot of people who have already told me that they're looking forward to just the movie night, and they'll be greeted by the sweet sound of the steel pan from the North Coast Pan Serenaders. Any particular arrangements that you all have been working on, or you don't want to give away too much information on that?
Can you repeat? It's very difficult hearing.
Any particular arrangements that the band has been working on, or don't want to give away too much of that information?
Well, we have a variety of music with calypso, jazz, and also our own original song arrangements, but I can't speak too much on that.
So I'll tell you what, we'll save all the fun and surprises for Friday night. But Ms. Bhagwat Singh, thank you very much for joining me for this interview this morning, just to give people the idea of what they could look forward to at the movie night, which kicks off the festivities. And I look forward to seeing the footage. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be there to see it all, but thank you very much, and good luck to you and the rest of the members of the PAN.
You're welcome.
Take care. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Well, if there's one individual who thoroughly enjoys steel pan and steel pan music is me. And now I'm just rather disappointed that I wouldn't be there on Friday night. But you can be there. North Coast Jazz tickets are still available. And you can come down to WSN Content Capital to purchase them. But I'll tell you what, I'll give you a hint. Tomorrow from 9 a.m. till about 9:30 a.m., we'll be giving away 2 North Coast Jazz tickets on this station. Yes, one individual suggested, one individual pushed very hard for it, and now he said, you know what, you've been good to us, let's be good to you. So from 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, we'd be giving away 2 tickets here on WESN Content Capital. Anyway, before we get to the top of the hour, there's some regional updates to get into, and we're starting off, of course, with this very heartbreaking story coming out of Guyana. The 6 girls who were airlifted to the city after suffering burns in the tragic fire at the Medea Girls Dormitory in Region 8 are battling serious burns, with a 13-year-old girl receiving limb-saving treatment because of the extent of her burns. An update was provided on Monday by a medical officer in the Georgetown Public Hospital's Hospital Burn Unit, Dr. Vikita Nana. Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Dr. Vidya Prasad, also said support is being provided to all affected persons. That is Dr. Vidya Prasad. Let's take a look at this report coming from Guyana.
We have admitted with us 6 patients who have varying degrees and extent of burns, starting at approximately 30% total surface area, and as going down to about 5%. But in addition to that, because it was a fire in an enclosed environment, we also have patients with inhalation injury. Those patients are admitted to various parts of the hospital depending on the severity, where we have 2 patients admitted to the intensive care unit. They are currently intubated and on ventilator support. There is 1 child who was rushed to the theater because she needed to have a limb-saving surgery done due to the extent of her burns there. And the other 3, thankfully, who are not as critical, we were able to manage in the pediatric HDU unit, which is a step down from the ICU care.
I know we're all devastated and our country grieves and mourns the loss of so many young lives, but here we are at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, and we are looking at what has happened since the 6 young people were transferred to GPHC this morning. We had a team effort, a collective effort, and from the moment they arrived at the Ogle Airport, where the president himself was there to receive them, they have been received by a medical team, and that team would have brought them to the emergency room where they have been given medical attention. And as was mentioned, 2 of those children are in the intensive care unit. 1 goes to surgery and 2 are in the high dependency unit. They're all being monitored around the clock by all the disciplines that are required to ensure that they're given the best quality of care. And as we speak, in addition to the team here, there are teams that are placed in various places. For example, in Madhya, there's a team with a specialist at the head of that team, also looking at those young people who are still there, triaging and determining who should come out, if anyone should come out. That team is headed by Dr. Shailendra Rajkumar, and we are also creating a team to deal with the psychological aspects of all of this. So it will be a combined team going in from the mental health unit of the Ministry of Health, the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation Psychiatry Psychology Unit, and the Ministry of Human Services, Child Care and Protection Agency officer, and the welfare officers, as we are now endeavoring to not only deal with those persons who are survivors and experiencing the trauma of the ordeal, but also their parents and families who also have to deal with that trauma and ordeal. I would like to recognize the excellent teamwork and efforts of all the medical personnel. It was a seamless operation. I've been here from the wee hours of the morning too, and from the moment everyone got here, it has been teamwork, and every child who is here is receiving the best care and attention. And that will continue for the time that they spend in hospital. And I must really say thank you to all the doctors and the nurses for that kind of care and attention that would have been given, since the moment they would have arrived, and before that, right in Mahdia, at the airport, and right here at GPHC.
Okay, just a quick question. Can anyone give us an idea of the relationship between the hospital and the parents right now? If perhaps all of the parents or relatives are here, and how are you communicating with them, providing them updates on the condition of the 6 girls?
Well, the parents are not here, but we have Dr. Rajkumar on the ground, and he is in touch with the relatives, and that team that is there is dealing directly with them. We also have Minister Manik Chand on the ground, Minister Ben on the ground, and so there is that team effort in communicating with parents and relatives. And Prime Minister's lead has led that team of cabinet ministers to Mahdia.
And Dr. Nandan, just a quick update. You said one child was rushed to the theater because she needed limb-saving surgery. Can you expand on that a bit? Okay, so when there's a burn injury, depending on the extent of it, usually if it is circumferential, meaning going around the entire limb, as the wound swells, when there's a burn, the fluid shifts from the intravascular space and it goes out. It affects the tissue around. So if you're to think of a pipe or hose and then you have a lot of water fluid around, it compresses because the pressure outside is greater than the pressure inside. So then it compresses that. So circulation becomes impaired. So for us to help to relieve what is happening on the outside, an incision or a cut is placed throughout the extent of that burn wound, connecting it to normal skin to allow for the fluid, the tissue fluid on the outside then to be lost through that opening and to restore blood supply and perfusion.
This is a moment that we all share in Ghana's pain and loss. That is the update following the death of 19 children at the Mahdia dormitory. Moving on now to the island of Jamaica as we continue with your regional updates. Tourism stakeholders are actually reacting to a U.S. travel advisory for Jamaica. Well, another one has been issued. Let's take a look at this report.
In the meantime, tourism stakeholders are downplaying concerns over the latest travel advisory issued by the United States for Jamaica. Jamaica has been placed at level 3, with the State Department urging visitors to reconsider traveling to the country due to a spate of crime. More in this report.
The advisory issued on May 10 by the U.S. State Department says violent crimes such as home invasions, armed robberies, sexual assaults, and homicides are common, with sexual assaults occurring frequently, including at all-inclusive resorts. It comes at a time when the tourism ministry has been boasting some 1.5 million visitors to the island since the start of the year. Nicola Madden-Gray is president of the Caribbean Hotel and Tourist Association.
Something that the State Department does worldwide for all destinations, so we shouldn't take it personal or anything like that. This is their standard release. We have all sorts of persons coming, diplomats. We have the regular Jew American that comes here and has a wonderful time. So I don't take it for anything.
It's not clear what impact the latest advisory will have on visitors traveling to the island. However, senior strategist in the tourism ministry, Delano Sivrite, says Jamaica, like many other countries in the Caribbean, have issues with the wording of the advisories.
The fact is Jamaica remains a safe and seamless destination for tourists, local and international. Crimes against tourists is about 0.01%, which is extremely low, so it's almost non-existent. But at the same time, we note their concerns. Those are concerns that, some of those concerns are concerns we share, but for the most part, we want to make it clear that Jamaica is a safe and seamless destination.
Interestingly, U.S. Secretary of the Treasury Janet Wallen reportedly vacationed in Montego Bay, St. James, days before the State Department urged its citizens to reconsider travel to the island. We put the issue to Mr. Sivrite.
I can neither confirm nor deny the presence of certain U.S. and other officials who are in Jamaica. What I can confirm is that over the last several weeks and months, we have had multiple visits by leaders. The Canadian Prime Minister was on vacation here. We have a number of U.S. officials who have been on vacation here or had been on vacation here weeks and months ago, some of which, of course, we can't name. And beyond that, we have a whole list of A-list celebrities.
Amidst the assurance from tourism stakeholders that Jamaica remains a safe destination, the country continues to grapple with crime. Currently, tourist towns like St. James and Hanover are under a state of emergency.
So while it is their purview to put those notifications in place, what we have found is that the U.S. visitors have been coming in droves, they've been having a wonderful time, and they keep coming back.
Carrie Simpson for TVJ News.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now break for WSN's News on the Hour. When we return, we'll get into some more conversations with some more guests this morning. Stay tuned to AM Prime.
Here's your WESN News on the Hour. I am Denise Martin. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Former professional boxer Claude Noel has died. Prime Minister to discuss local government elections in Parliament on Wednesday. Regionally, 9 survivors of Madia fire remain hospitalized. And internationally, millions in Mexico warned to prepare for evacuation as volcano spews ash. Now for the details. Former national boxer Claude Noel has died. 74-year-old Noel reportedly died on Sunday at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex. His cause of death was not revealed. Just 1 month ago, a video of the former boxer went viral. Noel was dragging on the floor as he screamed for help. The Social Development Ministry intervened, saying he was receiving the relevant care as he was a beneficiary of the Special Achievers Grant and the Senior Citizens Pension. During the Tobago-born professional boxer's career, which spanned from 1973 to 1984, Noel held the WBA World Lightweight title and the Commonwealth Lightweight title. He contested a total of 41 official fights and lost just a mere 10 of those. The Claude Noel Highway in Tobago was named for him in favor of a sporting accomplishment. Attorney General Reginald Amore says the Prime Minister will inform the Parliament on Wednesday on any decision regarding the local government elections. The AG was questioned in the Senate on Tuesday on what measures are being taken to allay the concerns expressed by regional corporation councillors.
This matter will be addressed tomorrow in the House of Representatives by the Honourable Prime Minister. The government is not perpetuating any illegality. There is no illegality occurring.
In regional news now, a total of 9 students from the Madia Secondary School dormitory who had to be air-dashed to Georgetown suffering from burns and severe smoke inhalation from the fire that consumed the female dormitory are currently hospitalized at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. The number of students hospitalized rose from an initial 6 after 3 more students had to be evacuated yesterday. In international news now, millions of people in Mexico have been warned to prepare for a possible evacuation after increased activity from the country's most dangerous active volcano, which has been spewing ash into several nearby towns since last week. Ash from the volcano, which is in a central part of the country, has delayed flights in Mexico City and led authorities to close schools in dozens of municipalities. Some 25 million people live in a 60-mile radius of the volcano, which is about 45 miles southeast of Mexico City. Well, that was your news to the hour on WESN. I am Denise Martin. Thanks for watching.
The countdown has started for the premier jazz show of the season. Get your tickets for North Coast Jazz. Festival Grounds, Lachiges. Enjoy a beautiful evening of fantastic music together with your friends. Be mesmerized and captivated by the music of our top local entertainers and musicians, including BP Renegades, Ace Panis and Arranger, Dubon Stewart, Chrison Joseph, Sitaras Extraordinaire, Mungo Patterson, Stacy Silvers, Gospel Queen Nisa, backing band led by Magic Finger guitarist Dean Williams. Also, Brass to the World, featuring two iconic superstars, Ronnie McIntosh and Superblue, plus much more. On here and played here. North Coast Jazz, Saturday, 27th May at Festival Grounds, Lachiges. Showtime, 3:30 p.m. Tickets already on sale at Kenny's Sports Centers. Extra Foods, Crosby St. James, Mart's Liquor Palace, Diego Martin Main Road, WESN, Gallagher Street, Athletes by the Park, and IslandEatTickets.com. For more info, call 331-4285. Get ready for North Coast Jazz.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
The best great tickets are at dbesttoys.com. Shop for the best brands you love at the best prices. Like VTech, Leapfrog, Fisher Price, Play-Doh, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Cocomelon, LOL, Baby Alive, Crayola. Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship MacBean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 32DBEST to order. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit? Yes. What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of bail is to ensure your attendance at court. That's it. It is not punitive. It is not rehabilitative.
We, the police officers, we are professional, and we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole. It's for all of us in public.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Welcome back to AM Prime here on WESN Content Capital. Thank you for staying with us this morning. It is my pleasure to welcome two young entrepreneurs who have been doing their part not only for themselves but for Trinidad and Tobago. I'm joined by the co-founders, well, Miss Rachel Rennie and Mr. David Thomas of Farm and Function, here to speak about their business enterprise and how it's developing TNT's agricultural sector and boosting exports. Good morning, Mr. Thomas and Ms. Rennie.
Good morning.
ICNTT.
Farm and Function came out, David and I started our first company, D Market Movers, 15 years ago. And Farm and Function came out of creating a physical product around health and convenience. Our business has always been around supporting local. So we launched a line of locally grown frozen fruits for the smoothie sector. When we looked on the shelf, we realized that there was no, local options on the shelf. There was always blueberries or strawberries. And we wanted to give Caribbean people a taste of their local fruits. So we have frozen pawpaw, pineapple, passion fruit, mango, guava. And we really want to preserve the Caribbean way of life by, supporting local farmers and then having our customers, giving them access to local ingredients. So And David and I love smoothies, so.
Well, I certainly love fruit smoothies, and you're absolutely right. You tend to see a lot more imported products, such as the strawberries, the mixed berries, rather than local produce in our freezers when we go to the groceries. But that's just a lesson for people watching. Sometimes when you do basic observations, it probably doesn't click in your mind, but there's always opportunity everywhere. Mr. Thomas, let me now come to you and ask you, how has your business, developed over time, especially following COVID-19? Is it expanding? Is the demand for the local fruits and fruit increasing?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've had an increase. I mean, it's coming out of the pandemic and all that. We would have seen, they've had shortfalls in imports and all of that. So there was a space that we saw and that we quickly rushed in to occupy with regards to our local frozen fruit. And since then, it has grown. We're in all major supermarkets right now. We recently started in PriceSmart, so you can go out and support us there, right? So we've been there for the past 2 months, and we continue. We also export as well. So we're in Barbados and Dominica. And so we continuously look for new markets, and we want to spread our product as far as possible throughout the region. So we've definitely been on a growth trajectory.
But also, have you been able to expand your processing facility? Because given that you are exporting to regional islands as well, and you'd like to expand beyond that, do you have the facilities to actually ensure that the output meets the demand?
Well, right now, what we started off with, we've definitely grown from that. Right now, we can handle the capacity, but as it grows, there's definitely plans to increase that capacity. Probably within the next couple, maybe like 2 years, we'll look into expanding into a bigger facility. But what we did is that we kind of set ourselves up first, so that when the capacity, when the request comes, we're able to handle the capacity. We didn't want to be caught out and just then trying to figure it out. So we kind of set everything up first, and then we were like, okay, we're ready to go out into the market now.
Yeah, we're always thinking of how to future-proof the business.
So is it that your relationship with the local farming sector here in TNT is good enough that you've been able to create your own supply model?
Yeah, for sure. So we work very closely with farmers, local farmers, and we try to attract, producers who are like-minded, who are really passionate about what they do and about their craft. So, and open to training and building their capacity. So we work very closely with our farmers. We set that standard. We commit to agreements where we take a certain amount of supply over a period of time, and really support their growth, because it's, your supply chain is everything, right? When that COVID-19 hit and our demand increased, we were able to work with our farmers to scale their production as well. And with local fruits, it takes time. It's longer investment in terms of just, how long it takes for a pineapple to produce or how long it takes for a pawpaw to produce. And so we have to always be thinking ahead. We can't, plan this tomorrow. So.
But what about the thought that local fruits are expensive? In fact, sometimes people argue, we rather pay more for imported product than the local price, simply because of the quality of the product. Apart from that, we're speaking to a local processing plant as well, a cost that will be incurred. How have you been able to balance that thought from consumers that local products are expensive, whilst also being able to create or market your product to set consumer?
Yeah. So you have to look at the value, right? What do you value? So, for instance, guava. Guava has 400% more vitamin C than berries. So, when you're buying local, you're getting a higher nutritional value, and really pound pound for pound, when you compare our fruits, it's actually more affordable, or at least comparative to the imported frozen fruits. There's also less wastage. You have the product you can keep the product frozen for a longer period of time. But I mean, for local brands to really become more affordable in the mind of the consumer, it takes, the local consumers to support us for a period of time. It helps us scale, it helps us grow. And, scalability is a big part of your pricing. So if we're able to scale and have the demand, of course we can bring our prices down. Of course we can, extend that and pass that on to the consumer. But initially, for local businesses, it's a very high cost when you're starting and the demand is low, right? So with imported items, the brands are well known; these are billion-dollar companies. But with anything else, support your own. It's the first step to really helping all of us grow. And nutritionally, it's just way better. So and it tastes better.
I'd also like to add as well. I mean, you have to also look at the intrinsic value of that. When you spend your money or you spend your dollar on a local product, the money circulates right here, right? It goes right back into the economy, and that's where there's even more value, which otherwise if you're buying imported, part of it might go back, but you're guaranteed that this is going back to a farmer, and he's going to spend his money elsewhere. So it's really that added value as well that comes with buying local.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Thomas, let me ask you now on that particular point. Does the demand exist? Because if I wanted to buy a local fruit, I could simply go purchase fresh fruit rather than frozen. So does the demand actually exist for these frozen products?
Could you repeat that, sorry?
Does the demand actually exist for these frozen products? Because if I want
products, yes. Yeah. There's definitely been a very steep increase in terms of people have definitely gone into smoothie making because it's an easy way to get your dose of vitamins, minerals on the go. Right? Children like it, which is also a very important part. So it's a good way to get them to have fruits in their diet.
And just to add to seasonality, so you can't get passion fruit all year. You can't get guava all year. So this is a great way, even for restaurants. We service a lot of restaurants, and they're able to confidently sell a mango margarita, all year. They don't have to wait till mangoes in season. And our mango is way more flavorful than the imported mangoes. So, it just all adds up to us.
It's 20 past. It's 20 past 7 in the morning, and now I'm feeling for a mango. Mr. Thomas, back to you on that point, and an excellent point too as well, Ms. Rennie, with respect to seasonality. Yeah, that's an issue that we face. Fruits that are out of season, we want to import, but what about in terms of regional export? What percentage of your output actually goes towards regional export?
Right now, we are at 15% of our revenue towards regional exports. We're hoping to grow that to about 30% by the end of the year. And we're seeing a demand in tourism markets as well. A foreigner isn't flying all the way across the country to have a berry, right? They can have that in their backyard. So they're coming here to have a guava mojito or have a passion fruit, cocktail. So in those tourism sectors, we're seeing opportunities, we're seeing demand for it, and we're hoping that the rest of the Caribbean, supports this. So when we say we preserve in the Caribbean way of life, we hope to, develop supply chains across the Caribbean. There's mango being wasted or food waste all across the Caribbean with some of our local fruits. So we're trying to find ways to add value to it, to preserve it, but also be marketable. As you can see, our packaging is, we are competing against big imported companies. So we need to make sure that we're also marketable and attractive to the consumer. But it's also, how do we get that, changing the palette as well? We think strawberries or berries are more premium or more high-end, but when you look at it just nutritionally or just taste-wise, people are flying all across the world to have guava here, so...
I actually find it very hard to get guava, so I'm going to have to speak to you guys a bit off air after this.
No problem.
Mr. Thomas, I think you mentioned deeper inroads earlier with a target of Europe as well. Where are you with respect to that? I know you said you guys are trying to put everything in place. Is it all set that Europe is your next big target?
Our next target?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now we're looking at St. Lucia, Curacao. Those are again, where there's a heavy tourist influx. Again, because we want to show them what the Caribbean has to offer. And the reason why that's why we use the word Caribbean, that, it's really just not Trinidad alone, but just the Caribbean has a lot to offer, and that's what we want to push as well. So we're looking at those kind of markets right now. That's on our radar, immediate radar, I should say.
Yeah. We hope to obviously enter into like the Canadian or European markets where they would love to have, a Caribbean frozen fruit and have their smoothies, So that's the long-term goal, of course. But and I think we're a lot closer to that than we thought. I mean, who knew the pandemic would just catapult us into this next level of business? We're a very young company in terms of farm and function. So I think we have a lot more to offer.
You mentioned earlier that you supply quite a number of local restaurants as well. Is it that that is also an area for deeper focus, the food service industry?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we really want the food service to support our local brand. We've actually showed them pound for pound that it's more affordable. We can actually customize more for them. So like if they want a 25-pound bag or a 5-pound bag, we can actually customize it because we're local, and we can innovate and pivot a lot faster than, an imported item. So food service is definitely a sector, and we're hoping that they will, that they offer their customers something more exciting. To be honest, you're tired going to a restaurant and there isn't that much local options in terms of just beverages or cocktails and things like that. So, and a lot of syrups, they're made with like syrups, there's a lot of sugars, there's no added sugar, but it's naturally sweet. So, you're kind of helping the consumer, just be healthier overall. So. And there are a lot more health food restaurants opening up as well that really support this type of lifestyle. So,
well, that's one reason to go and enjoy yourself a healthy daiquiri. All right, Mr. Thomas, back to you now. Let me ask you, how does Farm and Function TT enable local farmers?
How we work with them?
Enable local farmers.
Yeah, well, repeat that last part, sorry.
How would Farm and Function TT enable local farmers?
Okay, well, I mean, actually, the farmers, a lot of them actually reach out to us through our marketing because they are looking for a steady market. And that's what we want to provide. We want to know the farmers to rest assured that, okay, if you're producing this amount of product, we can take it, and because we're processing, and you don't have to, deal with the fluctuations in the open market and all that. And it's really for us we both will grow with that approach, and that's a lot of farmers are attracted to that model because again they don't like having to deal with the fluctuation, and they want to know they have a guaranteed price and they can concentrate on production. And we can concentrate on the processing. So it's a really symbiotic relationship we kind of try to have with the farmers where everybody wins. That's really what we want. We don't want to be perceived as taking advantage of the farmers or whatever, but it's really a win-win situation that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting, the fact that farmers are reaching out to you guys more than you all are reaching out to farmers. I think that speaks a lot as to the current climate and the current state of our agricultural sector. But, Mr. Rani, speak to us about some of the challenges you would have faced. I mean, locally, farmers have said they don't think they receive the support there are not enough avenues, the land space is there, but the land space is not being developed, because you would expect that given TNT's environment, even our soil, you would see acreage of farms, as pointed out by one individual to me prior to this interview. Speak to us about those challenges that Farm and Function TT faces, but also shares with farmers.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's external risks of like climate change. So we see things like, more prevalent flooding, drier periods. So there's those external challenges that we do face with the farmers. And again, it's about planning ahead. With any farmer, they know that, it takes 9 months to grow, develop a pawpaw fruit. So they can't start this now for now. They have to protect. We've been able to support farmers where in drier periods we help them dig ponds or get access to water supply for the following year. We do so because we are accessing new markets. Food safety is a big part of our process, and a food safety culture in the Caribbean is how we become more competitive, right? We're competing with bigger brands, so we have to be able to be food safe for the consumer. So even our farmers, working with them to become GAP certified, to focus more on food safety, those were some of the challenges at first, but they're so eager and they're so open to learning if it means improving their output. We can't solve it overnight, but our hope is that, through our other companies, we work with a lot of other SMEs and agro-processors, and our model of building that supply chain, we're hoping that we can pass this on to other agro-processors, because we really need to create that network and that community around production, around quality, around food safety. And if we set that standard, it puts us into a whole new world of opportunity. But I mean, there are a lot of challenges, but I will say that every farmer who has started with us has significantly grown with us over the last few years. So they've been able to increase their output. We help them even with efficiencies to be more profitable, more time-saving, sharing of resources. So knowledge sharing is a big part of combating some of the mistakes or the challenges that the local agriculture faces. And there are a lot of stakeholders and agencies that have supported as well and provided resources for us to share with farmers. So, but with anything in business, it's all around relationship. It's about being a part of a similar cause. And I think with David and myself over the years, we've been able to communicate clearly and shown results to our farmers. And I think that helps them, see opportunities, even just their branding and packaging design. We have another design company through Market Movers that we do packaging and branding for some local farmers as well to help their products get into Massey or get into different grocery stores. So it's really about knowledge sharing, I think, and acknowledging the mistakes or the challenges. And I like that you asked that question because, sometimes we can get caught up in the all the positive outcomes, but there are real challenges that we face being a small island, being where we're located and everything. So we need to really figure out how we're gonna, protect ourselves and future-proof our business and, our network.
Ms. Rennie, very quickly, you would just all that, I'm glad that you've mentioned that, but I'm curious in terms of a price point because with fertilizer prices fluctuating globally, even with floods also across Trinidad and Tobago, does your price point fluctuate or is it easy because you are actually plan in advance that you're able to set price points?
Yeah, so we're able to manage those costs for sure because we plan ahead, right? So it's yes, there are variabilities from year to year, but I think again with partnerships is working with different methodologies or managing the inputs and getting the best value out of their production, right? So it does fluctuate, but we've been able to keep our prices pretty affordable over the last few years. So,
Mr. Thomas, final question goes to you, sir. The export hurdles, have you all faced any difficulties when it comes to exporting your product regionally? At this point, it's regionally, soon to be across the world.
Yeah, I mean, there are special challenges, especially when you're doing frozen. All right, it's just not just, just putting stuff in a container and it gets there whenever. You have to really maintain that cold chain throughout the entire journey of the product, and you can't have any slip ups with that. And so that's one of the major challenges we face, like finding sufficient cold chain providers or shipping to the particular islands, I would say, and that kind of limits us in terms of where we can go, having to find those particular lines. That's our major challenge, I would say, really finding a line that can maintain the cold chain throughout the entirety of the journey of the product.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a little bit of a challenge. It has to be that is a major factor.
Yeah.
When we consider a destination.
Well, Ms. Rennie and Mr. Thomas, I want to thank you very much for the service that you're doing, your relationship with local farmers and boosting local products to regional markets. Excellent work on your part, and thank you very much for joining me this morning. Don't take away my business idea of healthy daiquiris, all right? But I promise you we'll have to share one soon enough.
Yeah, anytime you're ready, just let us know.
Certainly will let you guys know. Well, it's not too much my idea. I kind of just took it from Ms. Rennie, but we'll sort this out off air. For now, guys, take care, keep well, and all the very best.
Yes, thank you for having us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Certainly. That was Ms. Rachel Rennie and Mr. David Thomas of Farm and Function TT this morning, as we were speaking about boosting Trinidad and Tobago's agricultural industry and exports. And I wish them the best. I think it's excellent. Young entrepreneurs saw a gap in the market. They saw a need. They've invested in it, and they're doing well. And I hope they get more support as they continue to make inroads, not only locally and regionally, but internationally as well. Always happy to support young entrepreneurs developing products, making a difference, contributing to Trinidad and Tobago, not just themselves. So well done to Farm and Function TT. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for AM Prime this morning. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure as I get to start my day with you, and it's certainly an honor that you choose to start your day with me. But have a great day ahead. Carry an umbrella, please. It was dark and gloomy out there. I'm just wondering if the sun has crept out a little bit from the clouds, or if it's still on vacation. I'm glad it could stay on vacation for some time. But just be safe in whatever you do. Always be the rational person in your daily endeavors. Be mature, be disciplined, be kind, be empathetic. And we can make TNT a bit sweeter. I mean, only if we try. Anyway, I'm Keaton Shaw. This has been AM Prime. I'll see you tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. bright and early. Bye-bye.